Okay, so if you look down below directly underneath this video, you'll find all the networking scripts that we're going to go through. And normally we do these in Google Docs a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of the times we do that. This time we decided to do this in a PDF version. And so we have our contact list script, and then we have our general networking script, which will work for any business that you have. You just, again, need to fill in the blanks for your own products and services. And then here's some scripts that we've already created for you, and these are specifically for some of the products and services that we have for you. So especially for those of you who are taking part in module number 2, which is the funder proposal side of the business, and this is what is going to generate you 80% of your money and only about 20% of your working activity. So here's approach script number 1, and then our funder proposal script number 2. This first one here is generally for those of you if you're talking to an employee, somebody who has a job. And then over here, this is specifically for business owners. Now, chances are, if you're watching this video, you are a business owner, but you might also be doing this. You might be trying in the transition of turning yourself into a business owner as well. Maybe even if you're, let's say you're trying to do a trades business, you worked a trade, you're a painter, doing it as a trade, and maybe you're trying to start a painting business as an example. So you're in that transition time. So I'll show you how to go through each one of these scripts. Now let's come over here to our first script. And what we want to do, don't prejudge anybody at this time. Like I was just saying, what you want to do is you want to take everybody that you know. Just make a list of everybody right now. Don't talk about who they are. But what you're going to do is put their name. So right here you can see put their name, then put in their phone number, and then obviously this is going to be blank until you contacted them in one way or another. Okay, so you contacted them, and then once you did contact them, what was the result? And then when was the date that you contacted them? So I've done this from time to time, even in my business. I meet new people. I've moved a number of times. I've moved from Michigan to Los Angeles, from Los Angeles to Disney World, Florida. And so I've created new groups of friends. But generally, what I will do is maybe every few years or so, I'll, even if I'm staying in the same area, I will go back through my group of friends because they will have forgotten about me. Okay, and the last time I did this was, and it's actually been a while. I did this in 2011. Okay, and I hadn't used this approach for a while, and when I used it, I talked to 11 of my friends, and 8 of them joined, and that generated me like, what was that, $800, pretty close to $800 in sales, or not $800 in sales, but $800 in commissions for me. Okay, so this is something that we would encourage you to do. Now there's several approaches that you could make with this, and I'll explain that, but I really want to explain the casual approach. So make a list of every single person that you have. Ideally, you want to make a list of your first top 10. So who are the top 10 friends that you have? Who are your best buds? Who are the people that you hang out the most with? And so you want to put those there first. And then you might put some of those other people there. And if you're not, because here's what happens a lot of times, this happens a lot in, let's say, like home-based businesses or stuff, and they'll tell you to go talk to your friends and family. But what so many times happens is you'll have all of these friends come out of the woodwork who you haven't seen in a long time, and they'll come to you and they're propositioning you a business, and you just seem like a dweeb at that point. And here's why. They haven't talked to you in 9 months, right? and then maybe even a couple of years, and all of a sudden, hey, I can see how I can make some money off of you, so now I'm going to talk to you. That ain't going to cut it. You just look like an idiot. Don't do that. What you can do, though, is there's a thing called friendship farming. So you have a friend and you want to re-establish that relationship. And then you could introduce this concept that we're talking about right now. So right now you got the 10 friends that you hang out the most with, right? So those are ones that you'll approach first. And then after that, you have some of these other people that you can re-establish a contact, re-establish a friendship with. Take them out to coffee, send them a card, send them a text, send them an email. Just do things to re-establish that friendship. And if you don't, and if you would approach somebody, you'll just end up looking like an idiot. So one of the things that you can do, if you write all of these contacts down, you can act like, you can just be like a professional salesperson, and you can call one after another, one after another, one after another. But the scripts that we're gonna do, you can do this over the phone, but ideally these scripts have been created for when you're meeting these people, these friends, just as you're out and about, just being very casual on a normal day activities. So let's look at some of these. Okay, and by the way, before we get started here, these approaches are ideally for if you're in a brand new business. Okay, ideally, even if you've been doing your thing for a while, if you're taking part in the funder proposal side of the business, that is a brand new section of your business. You've been in business for 25 years, but now you have a brand new section of your business. So you could still use this approach. So, and like I said, this is a general one. This will fit for any one of your products and services that you have. So the first one is hi. This is how it starts. Hi, Bob. Make some small talk. You went out for coffee. You're hanging out at their house. This is very casual. This is at work. This is at your place of business. Just be very casual about this. Hey, listen, the reason I'm calling. And somebody's calling me right now. So, hey, listen, the reason I'm calling, you know how I'm always complaining about blah, 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 blah. And you might not be calling them, but apply this to your own situation. Hey, you know how I'm always, so you're hanging out at their house. These are your friends. These are people that you hang out with all the time. Hey, you know how I'm always complaining about XYZ? Oh, yeah, I really do. Well, I was doing some research. I found something that really triggered my curiosity. And you'll see how this kind of correlates into some of the other scripts if you compare both of these scripts. But I found something that really triggered my curiosity. I know you know a lot of people. Do you know anyone who blank XYZ who also has this issue? And if they ask you for any details on it, well, it's really cool. Bob, instead of getting all into it right now, I can send you an email, a website, so you can check out what I'm doing. I'd love to see how you feel about it yourself. That way you can send anyone my way, because you would know exactly what I'm doing. Who knows, maybe it's something that you would be open to too. Either way, it's worth checking out. And then you want to send in the details. How about I called you? Don't say follow up, but that's what's going on. How about I called you on Tuesday? Make sure you found everything okay. Oh, perfect. And then change his game. Hey, Bob, did you see the football game the other night? Oh, yeah. And start talking about the normal stuff that you're talking with. If you are a female, don't necessarily talk about the football game, but hey, did you see the shoe sale at Macy's the other night? Talk about things that you normally talk about. As soon as you do this, change the, get on to something else, because you don't want them to ask you too many questions that you are unprepared to answer. Okay, so that's approach number one. And like I said, you'll see how do you do this once a little bit more, it'll come a little bit more clearly to you once we go through some of these other scripts. Now, the thing is too, that you want to practice this. And so many times people say, well, I don't know what to say. I can't remember all of this. And they get all frustrated and discombobulated about this. Well, this is a business. And how bad do you want this? Do you want to be a successful business owner, or do you want to continue the struggle? Practice this a few times. Practice this so when you're talking to your friends or anybody, you can use this exact same approach. You might be, I live here in Disney World again, and I get on the bus. They have these Disney travel buses all the time, and you get to meet cool people, and you can use this. I just met these people, but this is an approach I could use if I wanted to. Okay, so practice this stuff. Get this stuff well in your head. Now let's look at the next approach. Now, like I said, this approach is ideally for those who are doing the funded proposal side of the business, but but for people that you're talking to who is an employee. And this is a bailout program. Okay, and let me before we go all into this, let me explain what this is. A few years ago, several years ago by now, the government, gave all those billions of dollars to, what was that big insurance company? Some of these car companies, they gave, like billions upon billions upon billions of dollars to these big companies, right? Well, the government has done the same thing for employees. And I have a marking system, and you'll see this in module number 3 of why this is. What the government is doing is, if you have a job and if you try to become self-sufficient, that's the way that I explain it. Maybe if a person starts a blog or something like that, the government will add on average about $300 to $500 per month added onto the person's paycheck to their job to help them finance their business, because they don't want them to have a job. The government wants you to become self-sufficient and not have to rely on anybody to make a living. They don't want you to rely on a job. They want you to own a business and become self-sufficient, not rely on anybody for it. Okay? So this is the approach for that. Hey Bob, how's it going? Again, make some small talk. Hey, you know how I'm always complaining about my taxes? Oh yeah, I definitely know. Well, I was doing some research and I found something that really triggered my curiosity. So let's go through this again. Let me get more in depth and just make this a little bit more real. Hey Bob, how's it going? Hey, good. You know how I'm always complaining about my taxes? Oh yeah, it seems like they're going up more and more every year. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Well, I was doing some research and I found something that really triggered my curiosity. I found a way to add $300 to $500 per month added onto my paycheck from my job through a series of governmental stimulus programs. If you tell a person that, they are going to flip out. They're going to say, well, how did you do that? And then what you want to do is you want to send them an email, send them to your website, send them a recorded message, send them some of these marking tools that we have available for you. You'll see this in module number 3, but if you look on the website down below, I'll put the links for both the bailout program and for the small business stuff that we're going to talk about in the next script. And then, again, how'd you do that? Well, then send them the website, send them an email, send them a recorded message, give them some information. You don't want to be the sales guys. Let your marketing systems that we provided for you, let them be the sales guys for you. How about I call you on, and then after you do that, how about I call you on or meet up with you, or however you want to say that, just to make sure you found everything, okay? And then so I can show you what I did. That's it. Perfect. Very simple. Rehearse this a few times. have this well in mind. Like I said, this is your business. This is a professional business. You want to be a professional, rehearse this a few times. You know, how bad do you want it? You know, let's say that you are an actor, and you are an actor. I'm not a salesperson. I'm an actor playing the part of a salesperson. And so an actor would learn a script for $100,000. They do it sometimes for commercial. They do it for $10,000, $20,000, $40,000, right? And so if you learn this script, you only have to learn a couple of scripts. And that script, if you talk to enough people, will give you an over a six-figure income. Again, with the mathematical formula to writing your own check. You gotta know how many people you need to talk to, but the formula is still the same. Now, if you're talking to people that you already know, yeah, I talked to 11 and I sold 8. So that's a very, very high closing ratio. So, you know, just practice these things. So let's move on to our last script. And like I said, this one is mostly for small business owners talking to another small business owner, okay? And so you want to make some small talk. Hey, Bob, how's it going? Good, good. You know how I'm always complaining about, you know, it seems like that my profits are getting lower and lower. I'm working more hours, but it seems like that I'm making less and less profits. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I'm experiencing the same thing in my business. I know what you're talking about. Well, I was doing some research and I found something that really triggered my curiosity. I found a system that companies like Apple, Disney, McDonald's use to never have to pay out of pocket for their advertising ever again, and I'm using it too. And so far, this is what I have been able to do. Now, you might talk about some of the other examples that we give you. You know, there's this chiropractor named Dr. David Peach, and because of this approach, he has 2 offices, 2 chiropractic offices. It pays for his staff, it pays for all of his expenses, and so every single dime that he makes from his chiropractic business, he keeps as 100% pure profit. Well, how the heck do you do that? Well, without me getting all into it right now, how about I'm kind of learning it too. How about you just, here's the website, here's a recorded message. How about I send you an email out of the information that I personally found? Oh, okay, that sounds cool. And then how about I call you, you know, on XYZ, just to make sure you found everything okay. Oh, that sounds perfect. Great. And then you want to change the subject again. Hey, by the way, did you happen to see the game the other night? You know, don't leave that awkward silence, you know, and people, when you're just talking, like, let's say that you had no financial incentive in this. When you have no financial incentive, people just talk kind of normal, right? Once they find out there's a financial incentive, they become all professional. I don't know what to say, and they overthink this and put too much pressure on themselves. This is very simple. These are one-page scripts. Learn a couple of them. They're not that difficult. From there, you send the people to the websites, to the marketing systems that we have available for you. Your picture is not even on those websites, on those marketing systems, so they won't even know it's you. But you're the one who's going to be making the sales from it. So, you know, just kind of use these things. Again, not everybody wants to do this part of the business. It is uncomfortable for some of you, but it is one of the things that has one of the highest effectiveness. Number one way to sell products is through people that you know. That's it. You know, they like you, know you, and trust you. And then you can use these scripts to get referrals from them as well. But just go ahead and apply this stuff, put it into action. Don't procrastinate. Come over to your first script and just make the list of the people that you know, first, at least your first 10 people, and then rehearse it. And then as you go around, and if you have these well in mind, as you go throughout the marketplace, restaurants, you meet different people, maybe learn how to be outgoing and meet different people, start conversations with people, and you'll see how that works too. Okay? But take care, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye now.